What stupid myth do too many people believe? That if you put a frog in tepid water and slowly raise the temperature, the frog won't try to escape and save itself when the temp gets too high. Great for illustrating certain points, but completely untrue. It's true if you cut their brains out first, which is what the study that originated this myth did. How is this not just murdering frogs and then putting them in hot water? Like, where does the question pop up if they'll try to escape? They're dead, their brains were cut out. They have a CNS reflex that makes them jump out of boiling water even without a head. That's the point that was being made, that a frog with a brain can recognize being slow-boiled, but a frog body without a brain can only recognize being quick-boiled. That goldfish are meant to live in bowls. The average goldfish gets about 14 inches long in proper conditions, and because they're such dirty animals, they generate ammonia like you wouldn't believe. They need heavy proper filtration. Yes, you should have 20 gallons per goldfish. That means 2 goldfish go into a filtered 40-gallon tank. No, an air pump is not a filter. No, a plant is not a filter. No, you cannot put other tropical fish with your goldfish, because goldfish require lower temperatures, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, while tropical fish require higher temperatures, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Goldfish can live up to 25 years. Putting them in a bowl means you are stunting their growth, but not the growth of their inner organs. They stay 2 inches while their organs keep growing inside of them, which is why they die in 2 years, instead of living to be 25 years old, and over a foot long. That turned more into a rant than anything, but oh well. PSA brought to you by a humble aquatics associate at a pet store. Edit, thank you for the silver. And the hand reward thingy. And the penguin that's so cute. Edit 2, because this got upvoted, I would like to add, please do not release your goldfish into public/wild ponds, rivers, or lakes. They're super dirty animals, and doing this is terrible for the environment. If you cannot take care of your goldfish, or can't afford to upgrade your tank, please relinquish them to your local pet or aquatics store. They will be more than happy to rehome them safely. 3. Goldfish have short-term memory. Actually, goldfish can remember things up to a year. So many goldfish myths. It's a myth that they'll only grow to fit the size of their tank. They can definitely outgrow tanks, and both fancy and common goldfish routinely grow up to 7 or 8 plus in indoor aquariums. In outdoor ponds where they have large volumes of water to dilute irritants, common goldfish have been reported to grow up to 18. People also believe that goldfish have naturally short lifespans. This is wrong. They have unnaturally short lifespans because people kill them through neglect/incorrect care. The average lifespan of a goldfish is 5 to 10 years. The longest-lived goldfish on record lived to 43. Fire sprinklers. They don't all go off by pulling a fire alarm, they're individually heat-activated. Also, you really don't want whatever nasty hit that's been in them for years coming out. Yes. I started in facilities maintenance. Big buildings have water reserves for the sprinkler systems, concrete cisterns/tanks. Very few buildings I ever worked with drained/cleaned/rotated this water. Getting hit with the sprinkles was begging for Legionnaires or Staphylococcus. Bermuda Triangle. For any given same-sized sea area there is statistically the same amount of missing ships and planes. And a surprising number of ships and planes that vanished in the triangle. Sank/crashed for perfectly understood reasons. Went missing for a few hours, then were found perfectly safe and sound. Sank/crashed/went missing nowhere near the triangle, in one case in the Pacific. Never actually existed in the first place. Wow, I wasn't ready for that one. If I recall, Bermuda is the point of the triangle because it's a popular stopping point on the way to/from the Caribbean and Miami. So ships from Europe sail to Bermuda and then fan out in roughly a triangle shape to the rest of the area, and ships going east converge on it before heading to Europe. It's just a busy corner of the sea, so naturally there's a lot of wrecks. That it takes 7 years to digest gum if you swallow it. So, 6 then? Actual truth is that you hit out a piece of gum within a day or 2 in case anybody wanted to know. Exit. Some gum will stay in a solid form and come out as a chunk. Some gum will dissolve and still go out through your butt. You get arthritis by cracking your knuckles. All it is just gas bubbles popping. Also, some guy did a long-term experiment, several decades I think, where he constantly cracked all knuckles in one hand and left the other one alone. After the experiment was over, they took x-rays and tests to find that both hands were practically identical in terms of condition. That must have taken so much self-control. LOL, I have arthritis and I remember people telling me this some years before I got diagnosed, and I was actually cracking my knuckles at that time. I believed it for a while because I got the diagnosis some years later, making me believe it was my fault. I was still a kid. It's just a coincidence really, it's not related to why I got arthritis. You can suck venom out of a snake bite. Arthur Morgan could do it and that's good enough for me. I ran into the same guy 3 times in a day once. I had to think that maybe he was getting bitten on purpose. My cat bit a friend who was cat-sitting for me. He tried to suck out the venom and spent several days in hospital with sepsis. Cat venom is the worst. Napoleon was short. He wasn't, he was 5 feet 7 inches, which was normal for the man of his time. This isn't actually that stupid really, but it's my favorite weird myth, that rabbits love carrots. They don't. You give a hungry rabbit a carrot, it'll probably eat it, but they likely wouldn't be high on its preference list. So why are carrots stereotyped as a rabbit's favorite food? Weirdly, because of Bugs Bunny. Bugs is always munching on a carrot, but why if rabbits don't really eat carrots normally? Because he was created in 1938 and that particular quirk was a parody of Clark Gable's character from the 1934 movie It Happened One Night, who had a famous scene being a wiseacre while munching on a carrot. The movie is mostly forgotten today but was a huge hit at the time. Contemporary audiences, who would have also been seeing the cartoons in a movie theater as pre-show shorts, would have recognized the reference as easily as early 2000s audiences would recognize a bullet-dodging scene as Matrix parody. The carrot-munching bit became Bug's signature and over time the origin was mostly forgotten. Everyone associated rabbits with carrots so strongly because of that it eventually became common knowledge that rabbits love carrots despite it not being true at all. The myth is prevalent enough that pet shops will commonly warn people getting pet rabbits to make sure they feed them a proper diet, because carrots are not sufficient and the poor bunny can actually starve to death. Bonus Bugs Bunny fact, he's also the reason Nimrod is an insult. Nimrod is a character from the Bible who among other things was famously an extremely skilled hunter. The term used to mean skilled hunter. Bugs used it sarcastically making fun of Elmer Fudd and people who didn't know the reference just assumed it meant idiot, or something similar. That's its primary meaning these days. Edit, couple quick addendums, yes rabbits will enjoy the green sprigs from the top of carrots often, leafy greens are great for them, but that's not generally what anyone means by a carrot. Also, when I say It Happened One Night is mostly forgotten I mean by the general public. Of course film buffs and historians etc. know it. If you asked random people on the street about it you'd probably get some who had heard of it, but way fewer that know who's in it, and you'd have a really hard time finding someone who can give a plot synopsis. That if you're an organ donor then doctors won't try hard to save you and might let you die. I'm a doctor, when I'm treating a patient whether the patient is an organ donor or not never crosses my mind, I will genuinely have no idea. And even if I did, why would I want to sacrifice my patient for some random other patient across the country? Surely that would just make me look like a shit doctor. Right? We all know the reality is that you just break into people's homes and harvest their organs like that Monty Python skit. And then when they present for a missing organ, you harvest another organ from a different sleeping donor. I had to explain this to my dad fairly recently. I said, basically, so if you're in a car accident and unconscious and paramedics race you to the hospital to perform surgery for internal bleeding or whatever, is the surgeon going to have someone rifle through your stuff to find out whether your license has an organ donor marker on it to determine how hard they're gonna work to save your life? And what's hard in terms of effort for saving someone's life? And is everyone in the operating room in on the scam so they don't say anything either during or after when the surgeon's like look at all these open blood vessels LMAO. You won't get in trouble if you tell the truth. Edit, yes I know that morally, this is not the good option. But if you are in a sticky situation, and I bet you once did, you probably lied. You what? You said you wouldn't get mad. I'm laughing. Chuckling really. You get told this from the time you are a little kid. Right up there with being able to trust a police officer. I once walked right up to a cop one time and handed him a bag of weed I found. It was at a place where kids were, so. Well guess what? I got arrested. What happened after? I went to court. The witnesses that could have helped me didn't show up. I paid an attorney $1,500 and I have a possession of marijuana charge on my record. And, I've never smoked, bought, or had any use for pot in my life. That human beings only use 10% of their brain. Good grief, I can't listen to people who say this is true. The worst thing is, my teacher in elementary school thinks that humans only use 10 to 15% of their brain, and the reason Albert Einstein, for example, was super smart is that he used about 30% of his brain. The biggest amount of bullshit I've ever heard, and the person saying it is a science teacher. A neurologist explained it as humans only use 10% of their brains the way a traffic light only uses 1/3 of its lights. We use all 100%, just not all at once. We actually have evidence of what happens when we use 100% of our brains, it's a grand mal epileptic seizure. My arm's not broken, it's only fractured. It's the same thing. Source, I'm an X-ray tech. In my experience, it seems that most people think a fracture is when it's not broken the whole way and broken means it's broken clean in half, or multiple pieces. In this case, I understand their intent, they simply don't know the right words. Still annoying though, they do mean the same thing. Yes, this exactly. It's a common misconception. But fractured equals broken no matter whether it's a crack or split completely in half. It's still fractured.